Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about something important. How technical interviews for different positions really work, based on my own experience. This story is from my past. I recorded the original version of this video about 7 years ago. I no longer work as a DevOps engineer today, but I believe this experience is still valuable and can help you many times. It's great to know your tools and feel confident in your skills. But most important of us want to get paid for this knowledge. So, at some point, you have to go through interviews. And many companies run them in a very strange way. Let me explain what I mean. Before we proceed, if you find this content helpful, please like and subscribe. Your support helps grow our community and signals to YouTube that this channel provides valuable information. I very appreciate your help in sharing knowledge. So, in large software companies, especially outsourcing firms, they often use something called a competency matrix. It's a table that shows what you need to know for each level: junior, middle, senior, lead, or architect. Interviewers go down that list and ask, "Do you know this? What about this?" etc. etc. Now, even with my 20 plus years in IT, I found it challenging. Yes, I have a wide range of experience, but some topics I used 10 or 15 years ago, I had forgotten some details. That's normal. But interviews like this can push you to remember and update your knowledge. So, how can you prepare? First, refresh your understanding of networking basics. For example, what is the OSI model? What are the 7 layers? Which protocols belong to which layer? What is an IP address? A subnet mask? How does routing work? Then move on to cloud topics. If you work with AWS, you should be ready to answer basic questions like what is an EC2 instance, what are security groups, how are they different from NACL, network access control lists, what AWS services have you used and what for, what does multi-AZ mean. People often say RDS is in 3 zones, but in most cases, it's actually only in 2. Details like this matter. Next, be ready to talk about CI/CD. Even if you don't use theory every day, you should know what is CI, what is CD, what difference between CI and CD, which stages belong to which, what tools have you used like Jenkins. Containerization and virtualization are another interesting topic. You should know Docker basics. What does a Docker file do? What is the front directive? What's the difference between CMD and run? If you are used Kubernetes, be ready to explain what is pod, what is a service, what is a deployment, what is a states full set. You don't need to know everything deeply, but you should understand the basics well. Next, if you say you know Prometheus, for example, they may ask you a few simple questions like, what did you monitor? Or how did you set it up? Same with Jenkins. Did you write your own pipelines? What kind of pipelines do you know? And if you say you worked with web servers like Apache, Jinx, Tomcat, or Wildfly, please be ready to explain the basics. How do you install them? What is the main config file? Please Don't write something in your CV you can't explain. Be honest. It's better to say, I haven't worked with this directly, but I am confident I can learn it quickly. That's better than claiming expertise and then failing in simple questions. If you want to list something in your CV, test it first. Install the tool on your computer. Create a simple project and play with it. For example, install Kubernetes locally and deploy a small application. It doesn't cost anything and shows you a serious. Also, take time to improve how you describe your work. Soft skills matter, is sometimes much more than people think. During interview, many companies are looking for a good communication and teamwork. Be ready to explain how you handle difficult tasks, solved conflicts, or supported your team. They want to know if you fit in, not just if you know Docker. Speaking of CVs, please keep them focused. Don't list every tool you've ever seen. Highlight what you've really used and describe real achievements. For example, say, reduce the deployment time by 30% using Jenkins instead of just using CI/CD. And please, don't stop learning. Technology changes fast. Every 5-10 years, the popular tools and methods evolve. Something you learned 5 years ago may already be outdated. If you want to grow in your career, keep learning. Try new tools, read blogs, take courses. IT is not easy profession, but it's one where you can always improve. Now, that's how interviews usually work in big companies. But in smaller companies or startups, things are different. Sometimes they ask creative or very technical questions. In my experience, for example, can a Docker container access a service running on the host machine? What would you do if you saw a strange bug in production? They interested in your behavior, how you plan to resolve such kind of situations. Some interviewers test your problem-solving style. Others care more about communication. They may ask, why did you leave your last job? How do you handle conflict? Do you work well in a team? Honestly, I prefer those interviews where people look at your real experience and talk about real tasks. Yes, sometimes you forgot syntax. For example, during one interview, I forgot how to write a Docker file. Really. I had a rough night before and wasn't focused. It happens. I still got the job, and later I became an infrastructure architect and worked directly with top managers in Germany. So, don't stress if you forget something simple. Just show that you are open, honest, and ready to learn. That's all for now. I hope this was helpful. See you next time.